I was newly divorced from a narcissist. He was hands down one of the worst people I had ever met. When we first started dating, he love bombed me, took me on trips, wined and dined me, and made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. We married after only 8 months of dating. He was well established and even purchased a brand new BMW for me before our wedding. His mask fell off, revealing his true self about 5 months into our marriage. He was mentally and emotionally abusive. I stuck in there trying to work on the marriage for the next year, but I had had enough. One day I packed my stuff and left when he was at work because towards the end he had turned violent. It was the safest way for me to leave. 6 months later, we officially got divorced. I was so excited and happy and relieved. I did not plan on making that mistake again. The day of my divorce was a celebration. I felt confident and free. I went to the beach with some friends and we had a great time celebrating. Everyone was posting pictures, having drinks. Overall, we had a great time. Later that night, I received a message from this guy on Facebook. His name was Darren. He was on my friends list and we actually had a mutual friend, Kyle, which is why I accepted his friend request a couple of months back. Darren was extremely attractive. Tall, medium brown complexion, low haircut, clean cut, and just well dressed. He complimented my beach photos from that day and we began to chat in Messenger from there. We chatted for quite a while and then we exchanged numbers. The next day, I was a bit surprised when I looked at my phone and Darren was calling me. Most guys would text first, but I am a big communicator, so I liked the fact that he was calling to hear my voice and that I could hear his. We talked for like 3 hours. It was one of the best conversations I had had with a man in a long time. I didn't get too excited though, because I knew that I needed to take every relationship from here on out very slow. We all know that everything in relationships and getting to know people can be good in the beginning, but people can switch up fast. Just look at what happened with my last marriage. We made plans to meet the next evening for dinner and drinks. We met at a popular restaurant here in Miami. Darren pulled up beside me in a beautiful black Mercedes. When I saw him, we both got out of the car and gave each other a huge hug. I was definitely attracted to this man. He told me to hold on, and then he reached into his passenger seat and pulled out a dozen red roses. I literally could have melted right there in the parking lot. We go into the restaurant, we had an amazing dinner, and of course, an even better conversation. When we were walking back to our cars, he held my hand and he told me that he did not want the night to end. He asked if I was down to go down to this speakeasy spot for music and a few more drinks. He offered for me to ride with him and he could bring me back to my car later that night. Now, in my head, for some reason, I had no hesitation. Maybe it was because we had a mutual friend that I know for sure that he's known for years because I've seen photos with them together on Facebook. This mixed with the fact that his vibes were so trusting. But even with all of that, I still didn't know him. So I asked him if it would be cool if I called our mutual friend to make sure that he wasn't crazy. He laughed and said, absolutely. I called our mutual friend, Kyle. Kyle and I worked together for years. Kyle picked up the phone. I told him the situation and he was pretty shocked and he thought it was funny that Darren and I had linked up. He gave me the big thumbs up and I put him on speakerphone. Him and Darren talked for a quick minute and then after I hung up the phone, Darren looked at me and said, "Told you." We both laughed and I hopped in the passenger seat of his car. We were off to the speakeasy spot. By the time we arrived, I was feeling so good and it was packed. As we were standing at the bar, Darren came up behind me, grabbed my waist, and gently kissed my neck. I felt shock waves of pleasure go through my body. It had been over 6 months since I had any intimate contact with a man, and our chemistry was so strong. We danced, we drank, we kissed, we had an amazing time. I had Darren drop me off at my best friend's house because I had a few too many drinks and I didn't think it would be a good idea for me to go to my car. Plus, I wasn't comfortable with him knowing where I lived quite yet, so my best friend's house was definitely the best option. I had called her ahead of time to let her know that we were on the way. When we arrived to my friend's apartment, he was the perfect gentleman. He walked me past the concierge to the elevators and kissed me goodnight. After the next few days, Darren and I talked on the phone all night like teenagers. We went on 3 more dates during this very short time frame. At the end of one of our phone calls, he asked if I was comfortable with coming over to his house and watching a movie, maybe having some wine and pizza. I thought it was a good idea. We've been on several dates at this point, and I felt comfortable, so I agreed. I had already made up my mind that I was going to sleep with him that night. We're all grown, and I knew I wanted to, so that's what I was going to do. Mind you, I had just got out of a bad marriage, so I wasn't looking and jumping into any relationship or anything like that. I was simply looking for some male companionship, and this was the man that I wanted to do that with. Darren's condo was beautiful. We ended up making love on the balcony that night. It was spontaneous and invigorating, just what I needed after a dysfunctional, almost sexless marriage. This happened for the next week straight. After work, I would go to the gym, shower, get ready, and head to Darren's house. It was like something out of a steamy romance novel. One day I was at work and I had a hunch to Google Darren's name for whatever reason. I was just bored. I don't know why, because nothing was really wrong. He was amazing and we were having a great time. He had a very unique last name, and I knew his age and his birthday from our conversations. I did a standard search of his name, and when the results popped up, my heart started racing. I opened one of the links and saw Darren went to prison for manslaughter 15 years ago when he was in his 20s. His picture popped up and everything. I was completely numb. I could not process what I was reading. Once I gathered my thoughts, I knew I was done. Is this really happening? I was so pissed. This man swooped in and low-key had me hooked to his company and his sex. And now this? Now, I didn't want a relationship with him, of course. I had just got out of my marriage, but I truly enjoyed his company and I was looking for the companionship and I thought I found it and I couldn't believe what I was reading. The charges said manslaughter, so I wanted to know what happened. Was it an accident? Did he know the person? I needed advice, but I knew if I called any of my friends or family, they would say, "Girl, run." My mind was racing. I hopped in my car and took a drive to the beach to clear my head. As I'm driving, Darren's calling me. I decided not to answer because I did not know what was going to come out of my mouth if I did. When I didn't answer, he texted me, and the text read, "Hey, beautiful, do you want to hang out tonight?" I didn't answer. I got to the beach, laid out my towel, and relaxed until the sun went down. Darren called me 2 more times that night, but I never answered. He was not used to that, so I'm sure he was wondering what in the world was going on with me. I got back home and went straight to sleep. The next morning, I decided to confront the situation head on. I wanted to know what happened. I called Darren back and asked him if we could meet for lunch. He offered to pick me up, but I told him I would meet him there. I'm not going to lie. At this point, he still didn't know where I lived at, and I was actually a little bit scared. I wanted to make sure that we were in a public place and I was able to leave after the conversation. This whole thing with his criminal background was just so hard to believe because I never got any negative vibes from this man. He was kind, gentle, and funny, yet strong and masculine. I actually felt safe around this man. We met at a small Mediterranean restaurant near a park. There were plenty of private spots for us to talk while still being in a public area. When he arrived, I was already sitting there with a cup of tea. He looked so damn good. He smiled and kissed me. "Babe, what do you want to eat?" he said. I told him I was good with the tea and I just really wanted to talk to him. He looked a little confused as we walked over to the private table that I found in a little cozy corner in the restaurant. I'm a pretty direct person, so I looked him right in the eye and said, "Do you have a criminal background?" He got quiet. He put his face in his hands, looked up, grabbed my hand gently, and said, "Yes, I was going to tell you." I didn't say a word. I just wanted him to talk. He told me that it happened when he was in his early 20s and that him and a guy got into a fight. The guy approached him about a beef they had, and then the guy swung on him. They began to fight. During the altercation with the man that he was fighting, the guy got terribly injured and he didn't survive. They charged Darren with manslaughter and he did 2 of the 7-year sentence. He got released early. His sentence was light because it was said that the man attacked him and it wasn't intentional. There were also no weapons involved. I just sat there numb. How the hell am I supposed to process all of this? He told me he would show me the paperwork and the court documents and all of that, so that way I could see that he was telling the truth. I told him thank you for telling me what happened. He said he understood, and if I didn't want to see him again, he totally got it, and that he was just waiting for the right time to tell me. As I looked at him, my feelings were all over the place. I knew I needed time. I stood up, hugged him, and told him I just needed time to process everything. He kissed me on the cheek and said, "No problem." I got in the car and just sat there. That was a long drive home. Later that night, I happened to look out my window and there was a car sitting in the parking lot. The car looked just like Darren's. I thought I was just being paranoid because there was no way he was at my apartment building. He didn't know where I lived. I had only been to his place at this point. He had never been to my apartment or dropped me off at all in front of the building. Nothing. As I looked closer, my heart sank as I remembered the last few numbers on Darren's license plates, and they were the same ones that I was looking at on this car in the parking lot of my apartment building. I could tell someone was in the car, but they didn't get out. I was now freaking out. How did he know where I lived? Did he follow me at some point? Just as I was thinking about all of this, there was banging on my door. I got really quiet and I didn't say anything. The banging continued, and then I heard Darren's voice screaming and yelling at me to open the door. I didn't know what to think. I grabbed my phone and I dialed 911. He continued to yell and scream, and I'm pretty sure some of my neighbors came out the door, and he was acting completely irate, nothing like the guy that I had spent the last few weeks with. I could not believe this man had followed me home and figured out where I lived during this process. So that right there told me everything I needed to know. He was not to be trusted, and he was pretty much being a completely fake person the whole time. Darren left before the police arrived. I told them what happened, but he technically didn't do anything to me, so I just gave a report and that was it. Over the next few weeks, I didn't hear from Darren at all, but I was really cautious going in my car and just leaving my apartment in general. Thank goodness nothing else happened. I haven't heard from him since.